We all set? All right. What's up, guys? It's your boy Steve on the NDO Podcast. Today, I have my guy Andrew Heath here. He's a pro trainer, basketball coach. He has a bunch of organizations like Balls to Books, and then you work with ProSkills in San Francisco, right?
I'm the director for ProSkills in San Francisco. Got my own thing, Andrew Heath Basketball, going, like you said, doing Ball to Books too.
Yeah, so like he's all over the world with basketball. We'll talk about, where he's been. He's done so much in this training space and coaching wise. A lot of great knowledge to come. But man, how you doing? How's everything going during this this really, really, really trying time right now?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm a little jealous, like we were talking before. You got the fresh cut. So I'm living in Oakland right now, and barbershops aren't open till July 13th. So I got a little bit to go for the barbershop visit. But staying good, just figuring out like how everything's moving forward with basketball and like what the next year is going to look like. And yeah, just kind of riding out this wave.
Yeah, it's a huge wave like right now. It's just like trying to figure out so much. And, like I've said, like, this is me personally. Like I've said, I told myself, if I can make this through this tough time with my training business, I can almost endure anything, from a business standpoint. And so that's one of my, like, for me, that's been a motivating factor, why I've been going so hard and trying to figure stuff out. But yeah, so I like I said, I wanted to bring you on. You actually, you reached out to me, wanted to be on here. And, I feel like that's an honor for me just to see that, people have been listening and watching. And, like I said, I want people engaged. I want people to, get a chance to tell their story, just because I want to inspire whoever's up next, or maybe there's somebody else that wants to be a trainer, or, whatever it may be. But just to keep people engaged. So thank you for doing that.
Well, no, man, I reached out originally. One, if people don't know, we're both from Stamford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
So it's interesting being out here in California. Like, no one really knows about Connecticut once you leave the Northeast.
Right.
So Stamford, when I look back on it and just think about it, we have like a lot of talent coming out of that area. A lot of guys that play pro, a lot of guys that play at high levels. So no, just watching you from afar. And then I remember the IC days, man, hooping back at the IC, you and Greg.
Center, yeah.
Way back in the day. Way back in the day.
Long time ago, man.
And I was like, man, who's this kid? I remember like, this kid's going to be good. He's just small right now.
Yeah.
But you eventually grew into your body and your game came along too. So
appreciate it.
Definitely had to show the CT love.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's crazy. I mean, literally one of my first episodes, me and Greg sat there and talked about how much talent has come from Stamford in particular, and how much more talent there could have been. And we got into this, if there was enough good coaches in our area that was able to cultivate it and keep kids focused, I think we would have been, more, I guess people have been more aware about us as a city. And, everybody in Connecticut, you hear more players, Bridgeport, New Haven, the 860 area code.
Yeah.
We don't get too much love in the Fairfield County area, but we have numbers, we had the talent. It's hard to piece things together, but that's life. So. But no, so I want you to just dive right in. Talk about your playing days in high school, college, and then what led you into getting into training eventually. And like I said, I'm going to chime in, or I might have a question here and there, and you can get as personal as you want, or but like I said, I want to be as transparent as possible, just because people might people will relate to things. So so the floor is yours.
Word, appreciate it. I'm a little older than your other guests, so my story might be a little bit longer. But like I mentioned, from Stamford, Connecticut, born and raised, grew up playing basketball. And like back when I was growing up, like trainers weren't really a thing.
Right.
So you learn just playing pickup with your boys, going to Scoutsy Park, going to Belltown, wherever. And you kind of just like playing with the older guys and kind of having to earn your way on the court is kind of how you like learn the game. Then went to Trinity Catholic High School, which unfortunately no longer exists.
Yeah, they just shut down. They just shut down. It's crazy.
So I was there when they had they still were a very good program, but I was a freshman when Dave McClure was a senior. Craig Osh was 2 years older than me. I was a senior when Tevin was a freshman, I think. I'm 3 years older than Tevin.
2005.
Yeah. So my experience there, looking back on it, I think maybe I should have gone to a different high school just to get more PT. I was just fighting for court time with a lot of other guys. But my time there definitely just taught me how to be competitive, taught me how to win. And I was still playing AAU and stuff like that during the summer. So I was able to get some looks from like some D2, D3 schools. Ended up going to Emmanuel College in Boston, Division III school. Played ball there and then also ran track. And funny enough, I got injured my freshman year. So I actually had a better track career in college than I did basketball.
Wow.
So I was actually nationally ranked in the 400 meters my senior year. So I think I was 12th in the nation and then set all these school records and everything. And the funny story with that, so small Division III school in Boston, I pretty much like took over the record book. I'm thinking my name's going to be in there for like a decade at least, right? This kid from Louisiana comes to visit the school my senior year. Cool. They tell me his times. Okay, cool. He's probably not going to come. He's probably going to like LSU or something. Comes to school next year, just takes all my shit away. Just like literally just like each weekend someone was like, yo, this kid just broke your blah, blah, blah. This kid just broke blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so did undergrad there. I was fortunate enough. So I was recruited to Emmanuel by this coach named Ted Cottrell, and like immediately built a friendship like my senior year in high school. He saw me play at the Gym Rats tournament in New York. Saw me play there, had a good performance, recruited me to Emmanuel, and we just stayed close throughout college. And then after college, just as like anyone does, trying to figure out like what to do with my life, doing a whole bunch of part-time jobs, and like just to make, and still at this time, like training isn't what it is now.
Right.
So I just start training people just for some side cash, just like middle school kids. And I start training this one high school girl, and she was kind of like a role player on the team. We end up just putting in a whole bunch of work. She ends up winning Defensive Player of the Year at the end of the season for her team. Ted Cottrell gets wind of it. He's like, hey man, I heard you're training. Do you want to come work with me? I'm working at this company called Visionary Basketball Group. It was in Melrose, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. So I was like, cool. I get to go work with one of my favorite coaches, get to learn some more stuff, immediately accept it. And then this was where I just learned a lot about coaching, how to interact with kids, just more about the training business. So pretty much everyone on the staff, except for myself at the time, had played like high D1 or overseas. So my coach, Ted Cottrell, played at UMass Amherst under Calipari when they had Marcus Camby, went to the Final Four. Another coworker there, Wayne Turner, won back-to-back championships at Kentucky with Rick Pitino. So Wayne would actually drive me to and from work like maybe 3 days a week. So those car rides, I'm just asking him everything I can under the sun, just about his playing experience, everything else. The two brothers that started it, Anthony Taylor and JT. Anthony Taylor played at the University of Miami, Ohio with Wally Zerbiak. And then he played overseas for a bunch. I think JT played college ball in Massachusetts somewhere, but still just like a very good coach. I'm forgetting the two other female coaches we had, but they were like Division I Hall of Fame players at the school, played overseas for a long time, but played before the WNBA got started. So anyway,
wow,
I worked there for like a year and a half, 2 years, and was just like soaking. And at the time, I'm also just doing a whole bunch of other like part-time jobs. I was actually working part-time at Harvard University as a marketing assistant in their athletic department. So I'd do that, go train kids, and that's just kind of my schedule. And then I just made a decision to go back to grad school, actually. So I ended up applying to Manhattan.
Uh-oh. Don't tell me this happened again. Hey, Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, my internet connection is unstable. Yeah, it should. I don't know what's good with my Wi-Fi, man. I might be moving soon, so
Okay.
So it's I mean, not, it has nothing to do with it, but hopefully at a new place I'll have better Wi-Fi when I do these interviews. But it's happened. Sorry. So you got cut off because I want everyone to hear it. So you got cut off right when you said you decided to go to grad school at Manhattanville.
Yeah. So going to grad school at Manhattanville, and the motivation for that was, so still, even though I'm working for a company that specializes in basketball training, so VBG, Visionary Basketball Group, had like the training aspect, and then they had like the team aspect. So basically, like the kids we trained played on the same AAU teams together. So that was kind of like the model and how they made their money. But yeah, there still weren't like the DJ Sackmans of the world, or like the Jordan Lawleys or the Tyler. Those guys didn't really exist yet.
Right.
So my mindset was, I want to stay in basketball. I still kind of want to get to a higher level. So looking to coaching, looking to be a college coach. I'm looking at these job applications. A lot of them are like master's degree preferred or required to be an assistant, even at the lower levels. Even if you're looking to be like an assistant at a D2 or a D3, those are more preferred. But then you realize, okay, cool. If it's me and another guy applying, the guy with the master's degree is going to get the job. So I was like, okay, cool. Time to go back to school. So went to Manhattanville. It was a great experience. And I was still able to train people when I went back. So I was actually, just by like random circumstance, I ended up meeting one of the guys that was on the Manhattanville college team. So we started training, and then that just kind of like kicked off like the momentum to like do it back home as well too. But even still at this time, it was more just a side hustle. It wasn't like the mindset was like, make this a living. So I finished my 2 years, and then grad school, the whole experience of going back to school was actually pretty cool too. My teachers were great. My professors were kind of in the industry. One of them was actually Jay Williams' lawyer at the time. So he actually called up Jay Williams like during one of the classes. We got to talk to him for a little bit. Another one of my classes, I got to meet Clyde Frazier like in person and talk to him, ask him some questions. So a lot of my professors were actually my references after I left. So I think that's the big thing with anything, just like creating a network and people you can like build on and like rely on as you move forward, regardless of what you're doing. So I finished grad school, figuring out what I got to do again. And so during my whole time in grad school, I'm also like coaching high school sports. I coached at Convent of Sacred Heart in Greenwich, Connecticut. I was the basketball coach, soccer coach, track and field coach. So literally was just like living there, doing stuff. But I was okay, cool. Went to grad school to not do this anymore, to not like do that hustle and to kind of get that like consistent paycheck in basketball and all that stuff. So initially it worked out. I actually got a few interviews with the New York Liberty and the WNBA Players Association. So go to both the interviews, and for different reasons in both of them, I don't get it. But as like anyone knows, it's frustrating when you're like the second person that like on the list of not getting chosen. It's like you keep advancing, and it's like, hey, unfortunately, we went with the other person. Best of luck moving forward. Blah blah blah. Okay, cool. Well, now I got to figure out what I'm going to do. So also during this whole time, I'm running exposure camps, which I think I was talking to you. I remember bumping into you at Chelsea Piers one time.
You did. You told me Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Bridgewater.
So
yeah, I went there.
I worked for Bridgewater for one summer, and then basically from me living in Boston up until me graduating at Manhattanville, I was working for this company called Global Basketball, which was just like you attended it. I attended it. I'm sure like every college player looking to play overseas has attended something like this, right? Combine type of scenario. So I started off doing a little rewind. I finished at Emmanuel. I go to one of these, don't get picked. But while I'm there, I'm like, okay, cool. We all paid money to come to this. There's X amount of players here. Who's making all this money? I want to be that guy making the money. So the next summer, I hit up the guy who was running the pro player video camp. And I was like, hey, I attended last year. I'm not looking to play, but I want to help out with any way possible, even if it's like an internship type of thing. He directed me to this guy named Daryl Reshaw, who founded Global Basketball. I go up to Vegas that summer, and that was just another great experience of just meeting international coaches, meeting international scouts, meeting other players that are just trying to do that same journey and process. And it was great too because Global Basketball holds their event the same week as the NBA Summer League. So we can host our event and games. We go over to UNLV, see those games, meet the other people and stuff. So it's another opportunity just to mingle and meet people. Did that for a few summers, and then Daryl actually gave me an opportunity to host my own in New York. So I held one in Brooklyn and Long Island, and that was just a huge learning curve for me. So he was literally like, it's your show, it's your baby. So like budgeting, marketing, finding the gym space, finding referees,
something's coming back to me. Sorry. Think
I'm sure. Go ahead.
I think you might. Did you reach out to me to come to that one?
I definitely did.
I don't know.
Because shout out to Ant Simmons. Ant Simmons played in it, the one in Long Island, and he was cooking that tournament too. And if you listen to this, Ant was killing that tournament. He got Defensive Player of like the Week or some award for that. But anyway, yeah, did that. So I was building all these connections in like the international scene and market, but I myself had never been overseas. So fast forward to me leaving Manhattanville and not getting these two jobs. I'm like, I don't want to go back and coach every high school sport in the world. I don't want to like hustle around and do all these like one-off training sessions. Like, what else is my resume missing that will just like solidify me getting these jobs? So I just started looking overseas for coaching opportunities. So literally looking everywhere. I started off with countries that obviously spoke English just because it'd be an easier transition. So Canada, England, Australia, and a lot of those require sponsorship for you to work there. So there were a few that were like, great resume, we like you, can you get sponsored to come here? And I just wasn't knowledgeable of the situation, just didn't know what to do. So I was like, no, I can't do it. So then I just started applying to like countries that just didn't speak English. So anywhere. I came across this one academy in China called Shou Basketball. So I graduated from grad school in May. I applied to Shou in July. I interviewed in July, and then I moved to Beijing in September. Didn't know anybody, didn't speak the language. It was one of the craziest decisions I ever did, but super glad I did it. Because my mindset was I need this overseas experience to just build my resume up and make it stronger. And the plan was to just go for 1 year. Go for 1 year, make some connections, come right back, and then we'll see what happens. For those that don't know, I was there for 3 years. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of stuff happened while I was overseas.
Bro.
So I get off the plane, and funny story with this, I get off the plane, and fortunate for me, they give me a translator, right? So guy to like help me transition and move into my apartment, and it was a good gig because they provide your apartment for you and all that stuff. So I get off the plane, it's like 1 a.m. in Beijing, and my phone doesn't work. I don't have a SIM card. So I'm just looking for this translator, but I have no idea what he looks like. And so I do see this one guy holding a basketball. Okay, well, I'm not going to assume he's like here for me. So I go sit down, and like 30 minutes pass. And I'm just like, shit, like, what am I going to do? Like, how do I call my family and tell them I made it? Another 20 minutes go by. Eventually, my guy Parsons, his name was Parsons, walks over and says, hey, are you Andrew Heath? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, man, I'm your translator. I'm like, bro, we've been here for 45 minutes. You didn't say nothing. Like, so, yeah. Get in the cab, go to the apartment. On the way to the apartment, he's like, oh, I saw you played ball in college. He's like, there are like games out here you can play in. So he shows me on his phone, like all these different leagues and games, and it looks legit. So immediately my first thought is like, okay, just like because this whole time, like I'm not working out like I did in college. I'm not training to be a player. So I was like, okay, cool. The second you find a gym, like go start lifting weights again, get in shape. So I started doing that. And then I ended up playing pickup with some of my coworkers at some random gym. And they're like, hey man, you're decent. Like you should play in some leagues out here. You could like make some money. So I'm thinking, this is like 2-3 weeks into me being there. I'm thinking it's just like what we got back home, like a men's league or something, or maybe like each person puts in $30 and like the winning team gets all the money. And he's like, no, you'll like get paid to play. But I'm still thinking, dude, like, what are you talking about? Then he shows me a video and he's like, no, like they'll pay you to play basketball. So I was like, yo, give me more information. How do I get into this? So he connects me with this other guy named Lawrence Babaya, who was playing in a pro-am out there. So I connect with Lawrence. He's like, meet me at this McDonald's. I'll like give you the whole rundown and everything. So I meet him at McDonald's, and cool, he's telling me about the leagues and everything. He's like, we're going to go play tonight. He's like, if you suck, you can't come back. So that's straight up like at McDonald's, like if you're trash, do not ask to play again. Cool. Go play. I play well. And then just start like making more connections. And then I was introduced to the Wild Ball League of China.
Yo, Wild Ball, they
yeah, you've been out there, you know.
Yeah, they make good money out there.
Yeah,
with Wild Ball, people don't know.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, basically you'll have like rich Chinese businessmen out there who will like form teams and leagues and just like pick players to play. So they'll have like a Chinese team full of locals, and then the other owner will pick like, okay, I heard this guy from the States is good, I'll take him. I heard this guy from France is in China, I'll take him. And they pay for everything. They pay for your flight to go to another city. They pay for you to play. Win or lose, you get paid. And then if you win, you get more money. So I'm introduced to this world. I start doing that. And I'm like, oh shit, this is crazy. Like I'm making money hooping. And like I said, I've already like tried to do that, right? Like after school, went to the tryout, didn't get picked, accepted that, and just went a different route. So I'm like, oh, this is just a different route. And then even at first, I was like, oh, even though I'm getting paid, like this isn't really like real ball. But then I started meeting guys that were playing like EuroLeague or playing in Australia that would come playing these in their off season and make money. And guys are making a living. Like you said, like you can make good money doing it.
From what I was told, you can make 5 figures and a good living. So.
Yeah. No, if you play your cards right, you could definitely do that. So I was doing that, and then I meet this guy named Natural out there. That's his real name, Natural. And for people in Boston, he goes by O, which I didn't know. So funny enough, one of my boys hits me up on IG. He's like, yo, is that O? I'm like, I got no idea who O is, but I'm out here with Natural if that's what you're talking about.
Not again. Oh, okay.
We're good?
Yeah, sorry, did it again. Go ahead, talk. You're good.
So I meet him. He has a team called the Beijing Panthers. And so basically, it's within the wild ball circuit, but instead of – so before, we're kind of like mercenaries, right? We're kind of like you find your own games, you find your own leagues, you're kind of your own agent, all that stuff. The Panthers were like, instead of basically presenting these business owners and leagues, instead of you having to like draft your players individually, we'll just show up as one team. So boom, we're the Panthers, we'll play in your tournament, we'll play in your league, whatever else. So started doing that, and then yeah, that was just a whole amazing. So I played with them for like 2 years, and it was the whole experience of getting to travel around China. We're doing commercials, we're endorsing stuff.
Dope.
I shot commercials for toothpaste, and then the one people always give me crap for is I shot a commercial for Durex, but not what people think, right? So they came out with like a perfume or like cologne that was supposed to like put you in the mood.
Right.
So it was me and some other people were just in that commercial. Footage can't be found for that, so
yeah.
Don't ask.
Oh man.
But no, so that was a whole just another experience, and same thing with that. Just made a lot of connections. And towards like our last year and a half, we were able to, this gentleman by the name of Rodney Hurd, who works for the Milwaukee Bucks now, was out in China scouting for them. Natural connects with him. Rodney agrees to coach our team for like the last year and a half while we're there. And that's like a connection I still talk to today and still like use for references. So that was just another moment of me just being a sponge around this former NBA coach. And like his resume is crazy. He coached J-Kid at Cal Berkeley. He's coached for the Knicks. He's running a whole bunch of different like pro workout and combine stuff. So I was just soaking everything up from him as I possibly could. So that was like just the playing aspect of there. So obviously I went there really just to coach. So this whole time while I'm doing that, I'm still coaching. While I'm coaching for Show One, and my first year is coming to an end, and I'm trying to figure out, do I want to stay longer? Do I want to go home? I'm playing for this team now. Like, what's the next best move? So I stopped working for Show One, and I started working for Natural full time. So in addition to him managing this like pro team out there, he also has his own training company out there called Supernatural Sports. So working for him, and he has a great setup where not only does he train, but he also coaches at an international high school out there. So I was able to coach high school ball, which is a totally different scene in Beijing than it is here. So doing that, working with him, same thing. He has just like a wealth of knowledge as well too. So I'm just picking up everything from him. And workouts too. This guy is in phenomenal shape. Like I won't give away his age, but he's up there, older than me, and he's still in-game 360, in-game windmills, all that stuff. So I was trying to, pick up like nutritional tips and whatever the fountain of youth secret he had. So doing that, and then same thing, making more connections. I think that's the biggest thing is when an opportunity is presented to you, really try to like weigh out the pros and cons. And if the pros outweigh the cons, like go for it. So I meet another guy named Sean Price. He's the manager for the NBA Yao Basketball Club out there. So basically the NBA and Yao Ming made an academy that's like run all over China. and there was a coaching opening, and he saw me play one of these pro-ams, and he's like, hey, do you want to come work for NBA Yao? Of course I do.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So those last 2 years in China, I'm working for the NBA. Get to meet Yao Ming, get to meet Yao Ming's wife and daughter, who are both very tall people. Doing that, and then towards the end of my time there, I actually got an opportunity to work with the NBA Academy. So,
oh wow,
the difference between that, I'm sure you know, but other people don't. So basically, NBA was pretty much like training kids from like 6 years old up to like your senior year in high school. NBA Academy is working with like the top international players. So the NBA has locations in China, Australia, Africa, and I think one other spot.
Yeah, is it South America? South America?
I think so. Yeah. Yep.
Because
and they got one in India too.
India, they just did the India one. They just started that one like 2 years ago. But
yeah. So doing that, and then I was actually recruited to be like their basketball model in like one of their apps they made out there. So it was this app called Keep that they partnered with the NBA. So it's not available in the States, but if you were in China at the time, you would see me just like doing like windshield wipers or like between the leg crossover stuff.
That's really
so
cool.
Yeah, it was a whole different just scene out there. So then my time is just coming to an end, and then I was fortunate enough to meet this amazing woman out there, and started dating, became a girlfriend. So she's the reason why I moved back to the States, and she got into grad school at Berkeley. The reason why we're in Oakland now. So cool, moved back, we're on the West Coast now, which is just a whole different scene coming from Beijing to here, and then just different growing up on the East Coast. So a little bit of culture shock there, just adjusting to everything, different lingo and music and all that. So doing that, and then it was actually kind of a similar situation to when before I left to go to China. So in my mind, I have all these NBA connections now. I have all these NBA references. I can get the job I want. So I have interviews with the University of Memphis, Texas El Paso, a few other D2 schools, everything. Nothing comes through. So it's like, I got to do something. So shout out to Mike Jones. He's the director at a Boys and Girls Club in Redwood City, California. He hires me as their athletic director, and I get access to their gymnasium whenever I want. And then that's when Andrew Heath Basketball starts. So, okay, cool. I get this gym, like milk it as much as you possibly can. And then from there, the traction from that just kind of like took off a little bit quicker than I expected. So I start doing individual sessions, camps, clinics, and I'm just literally at the gym like 12 hours a day. So I have like my Monday through Friday, like hours there. And then Saturday comes, there'll be days I'm there from like 9 in the morning to 9 at night, and then do the same thing Sunday. And then Monday morning, wake up at like 6, do some workouts before work all day, and then do sessions after work too. Which is part, I mean, you're doing the same thing too. I'm seeing you out here killing the Zoom workouts. So doing that, and then that's when I get contacted by ProSkills Basketball. So they're like, hey, we saw some of your stuff on IG. Would you be interested in doing a shooting clinic with us? Okay, sure. Just like a one-time thing. I do it with them. It goes well. And then we start talking more, and we actually realize we have some of the same connections from China. So shout out to Aaron Smith, co-worker and former teammate from China. Went to the same undergrad as the founder of ProSkills, little brother. So that connection, we start talking, and then they do a lot of like NBA player like camps. So they did one with like Malik Monk in North Carolina, and they did one with Mason Plumlee in Denver. So they're like, hey, do you want to run the Sean Livingston camp in San Francisco or Oakland? Once again, like, of course, yes, I'm not going to say no to this. So I say yes to it. And then I'm trying to basically I'm waiting to see like how the Warriors do in the playoffs. So this is when they were still decent. So my mindset is, okay, well, if they lose, is he still going to want to do the camp because he'll be pissed off? And then if they keep winning, if they win the championship, there won't be enough time to like get the camp set up and stuff. So I'm kind of like seeing what happens. Basically, I think that they do end up losing. Sean's like, yeah, I'm not feeling the camp anymore. So we don't end up doing it. But then ProSkills is like, would you want to start a youth team out in San Francisco? So little backstory about ProSkills. They're a youth organization based out of North Carolina that was started by two guys that went to Davidson. They graduated the year right before Steph Curry got there.
Wow.
So they're all up and down North Carolina. They grew it to now they have locations in Tennessee, New York, Boston. They have one location in Denver, but like nothing on the West Coast. So like, do you want to be like our flagship spot on the West Coast in San Francisco? We have Steph Curry connections. He's right in your backyard. We think it could be a good opportunity. At first I said, no, like, I don't know if I want to do this. I got this Andrew Heath basketball stuff going. But kind of sit on it, weigh it out. And then I'm like, okay, no, it's actually another good idea, good connections, opportunity to grow a little bit more. So I end up doing that. And then like a month after I start, they break the news that, good news, that Steph Curry is going to put two of his like elite youth teams under the ProSkills umbrella.
Wow.
So he has like his Curry elite teams that play on like the Under Armour circuit. So now that's part of ProSkills. Those teams aren't in San Francisco, but it's still just like part of the family and just part of the whole program. So those two teams are in North Carolina. But we're super excited just to like be a part of that and hopefully just like grow with that and see like what we can bring out here on the West Coast. Yeah. And then, so from that, I'm kind of jumping all over the place now. Rewind a little bit. So before the ProSkills stuff, one of my connections from China went back to Australia where he's from to go to grad school. We were just talking back and forth. And he was like, yo, would you want to like do a camp out here maybe? I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, I'd love to come out to Australia. Like, never been. I always want Brian Curl, he was a former NBL coach, which is like, they're like NBA out there. Australian national team coach, and he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame in Australia. So once again, I'm like, this would just be a great opportunity just to learn a lot and just soak up some more information. So I went 2 summers ago, or last summer, went for like 3 weeks. I was out there for almost a month.
Wow.
And same thing, just the whole experiences was great. Just learning the culture, seeing the people, got to go see kangaroos and koalas and all that stuff. So that was cool. And then while I was out there, just made some good connections with a lot of the pro players, which is how Ball the Books came about. So one of the players out there, Jackie Castro, me, her, and Billy were talking about just like, Billy's my friend who invited me out there. We're talking about ways to just kind of like keep the momentum going, and how like what are things we can do after basketball and kind of like help out the community and stuff. So we came up with the idea to do like a social media challenge. And the idea was to just donate resources to schools that need it, and then challenge like 5 or 10 of your friends to kind of do the same thing. So that's where we got Ball the Books from. So it just started off as like a nonprofit initiative just to kind of help out people in schools in our areas. So I donated to a bunch of schools out here in Oakland. We got donations done in Idaho, Mexico. And then by the end of this month challenge, we actually got 6 countries and donated to over, I think, like 35 or 40 schools. So then just from that, okay, cool. Let's just kind of like ride this wave of momentum. And we've just been trying to figure out what the next step is with that. So right now, recently, we've just been shedding light on a lot of campaigns and resources to help with COVID, and a lot of campaign resources to help out with the protests and like bail funds and stuff like that. So hopefully once everything gets back to normal, we'll do another challenge to get resources to school. But right now we're just kind of trying to help out with all the craziness that's going on.
Yeah.
And then that pretty much brings us up to date, man. I mean, other than that, I'm still trying to figure out like what the next step is with everything. I've been doing Zoom workouts here and there, but nothing like on your level, making a few like YouTube basketball videos, but just kind of seeing like what the market looks like after this and where everything's going from here.
Yeah, no, I definitely, first off, that was a lot. That was a lot. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, you have memories on memories to share your future kids and all the kids that you coach. Like, I think someone like, that's like something I want to eventually be able. I'm building my relationships and my experiences, but nothing like what you got, man. Like that's something I want to get.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no, but seriously, like, and here's my question, like. So you're gonna be the first person I'm asking this to, because my boy who I kind of started NDO training with, he listened to the podcast and he was like, you know what, Steve, you need a catch, like a catchphrase or a catch moment. So when we're gonna call this the NDO moment, all right, the NDO moment. So you're the first person I'm asking this to. When was that moment? Either when you were playing or as a coach, that you realized you were all in, like, you have to sacrifice this, that, and a third because I want to get here. When was that moment? When was that moment for you?
I actually know exactly when it was. So I was working. This is back when I was back at Visionary Basketball Group in Massachusetts. We had an opportunity to train. Her name was Chanel Mokongo. She played for the LA Sparks. She went to Mississippi State. So this is my first like big time pro that I'm training, right? I'd done like all state high school guys and like I trained my former college teammates. But this is like, no, like you get paid to play ball. That's all you do. You have no side gig, nothing else. This is what you do. You are a pro.
Right.
And so also she's a 6'5" post player. Not my position. I'm not that tall. And we're going through the workout and she starts asking me questions like, oh, like, how should I turn or where should I keep the ball? And then, I'm coaching, I'm telling her, and she's respecting the information that I'm giving her. And it was the most satisfying like moment for me at that time. Like I have this athlete who I respect and look up to in a sense is giving me that same respect back. And I was like, how can I do this all the time? Or like, I just want to be around this environment. So that was definitely the moment. And then funny connection with that. So before all this COVID stuff, we're kicking off ProSkills, another great, just lucky opportunity. Janae Morris, who is like a local legend out here, played at Urban High School, killed it there, went to San Diego State, is in the Hall of Fame there, played in the NBA. Amazing opportunity that she's going to be coaching for ProSkills. Her and Chanel were in the same draft class in the WNBA when they first got drafted out of college.
Wow.
So it's just like one of those like full circle
things.
Like moment things. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, man. Yeah, no, that's because I mean that's crazy. Like I completely like I love that answer just because that's why we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
Like when we are able to like coach and train somebody and they ask questions and they're receptive to it, and you see they're getting joy out of you learning from you, or just even taking the information and trying to digest it and then see where it goes. Like that's why we do what we do,
Yeah.
And so that's something like I definitely respect. And
what was your moment?
Man, sheesh. It had to be, I mean, playing wise, when I was my moment was probably middle school, where I got bullied a lot, and I was just like, basketball was my getaway. Basketball was like, all right, I'm good at it. This is what I want to do. And then obviously, you have your dreams and stuff when you get older. And then it was probably right after I got to Canada, or right at the end of Canada, when I played professionally in Canada. I was like,
mm-hmm.
I didn't know if I could keep doing this, like trying to play pro. It's draining, right? But my experience up to this point, I know what I don't want to be. I know I want basketball to be in my life, but I know what I don't want to be as a coach. And I know what coaches want in terms of a skill development player. So this is where I think I gotta try to head to next.
Yeah.
So those are my two moments where I was just like, yo, this is all in. I'm all in on this,
Yeah.
And so, like I said, that's what I'm saying. Just like, I like what my boy told me with this NDO moment, which is great. But like, everyone's gonna have a different moment where it just clicks for them, and then I feel like we share that information. Maybe people will be more self-aware of just like what's going on around them, with them, and then they can just find the happiness within in them and what they love to do.
Yeah.
And then boom, they, as you hear from both of us, like whoever's listening to this, like we both pursued our dreams. Was it easy? Not at all.
Yeah.
You see, Drew just went through like years of hurdles to get to where he is, and I mean, it's a great journey, and it's just still getting started.
Yeah, no, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, it's cliche and you hear it all the time, but if you really want something, like, go for it. Because you're just going to, like, the windows and opportunities aren't always going to be there. So if it's in front of you and you can go grab it, go for it.
Right, for sure. That's the thing that I try to preach. Like I said, it's just like a happiness thing. Like, obviously with everything going on right now and protests, social injustice, it's just like, there's a lot of hurt and angry people out there, and then even before that, when it's COVID-19, it was just like so much negativity, and it's a lot on everybody's shoulders, and and on top of that, people have their mental battles that they go through every day, and you don't know what somebody's going through. And when I talk and when I get to interview people, they get to tell their stories, which may be motivating or uplifting for somebody who may be going through something, or it's just a way for me to make sure people are aware of how they feel. Like, sometimes they suppress it and try to get through it, but what I try to tell people, it's okay to feel a certain way, and then we got to try to channel that energy towards something positive. So, that's something that I'm big on, and I just want to make sure, like, that's the reason why I'm doing the NDO podcast. It's just, it's cool. It's fun to do a podcast. I'm talking basketball culture. Like, you can't really beat that. And then, the other thing that I do like to harp on is just being able to talk about mental health. And that goes beyond sports. That's just your well-being. Mm-hmm. And it obviously includes sports. Like, a lot of athletes go through a lot of stress. There's a lot that goes on, and it hasn't been until recently that it's been a real, subject matter for everybody.
Yeah.
So that's something that I like to preach. And also, it helps with, you feeling things, and also building mental toughness, which helps you through life. So that's the big thing for me. You get what I'm saying? So, did it freeze? It froze. No. Oh, man. Just disconnected. All right, guys. It's still recording. Says he's still here. All right, guys, we're back. So I apologize. That's on my end. My Wi-Fi at home just randomly shut off. I swear, every time I was just telling Drew, like, every time it's something different. I made sure I have Zoom Pro so I can go as long as I want, but now it's the connection, and So
It
now I'm
just
on
means
the
it was a good one. That's
It
all.
was a good one. It was flowing. I didn't have to hope I had to edit anything, but now I gotta kind of like edit everything and piece it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, like where we're just taking off, or where we last left off was basically we're talking about mental health a little bit, and that was one of the reasons why I'm so one of the main things with the podcast, and but I want to now get into just what's going on with right now, and so how's everything? How are you doing? Mentally checking up on you. Dealing with
Yeah.
with all this stuff. It's I mean, really, it's just it's a difficult time, especially being men of color and during this time, especially, and we're both business owners, so it's a trying time,
Yeah.
and so just want to hear how you're taking things right now and what's going on with that.
Yeah, I think I appreciate you asking, man. I think when this all first started and just like the stay-at-home orders and stuff, it was more so just like getting used to that transition and then just making like a daily schedule for myself. So I'm also working at a high school right now too as an assistant athletic director. So if I don't have like a busy day with that, just like having like a checklist of things to like get done during the day, even if it's just like very small things. Okay, make sure you work out, make sure you send this email, make sure you're reading this book, make sure you're doing some other stuff. I'm actually doing a lot of like, for the people that can't get out, game footage. Watch as much game footage right now as you can. So I do that every single day, taking notes, and then just checking in with like family and friends as much as I possibly can. So I'm out here, but my sister and parents are in DC. So I honestly call them like every day, just checking in with just other friends, having like Zoom calls, and yeah, just asking like, how are you doing? And then in the middle of all this, we start having just these huge racial tensions in the country, and unfortunate events are happening. So this past Monday? Yeah, Monday, me and my girlfriend actually went to one of the protests and march out here. And it was just a beautiful thing to see and just be a part of. There's actually a part where, so we started at high school in Oakland, and we marched down to the police station in City Hall in downtown Oakland. But along the way, we passed a hospital. So like all the nurses and healthcare workers came out and everyone's clapping for each other. It was just those moments where like everything kind of froze. And you're like, oh, this is just like a very beautiful, significant moment. And but yeah, no, I think it's just checking in with people. And then I think it's okay to be emotional in whichever way you are. So if you're angry, like let that anger out. If you feel like crying, cry. If you want to laugh or hug somebody, like do that. Don't hold whatever you got inside. Like let that stuff out. It's healthy. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and to that I agree. I think like we're at the point with everything going on. It's just it's just been, like you said, it's been tough, and we've been trying to, like I said, I've been trying to make people aware of these things, but I think having someone say it's okay and just let it out, I think that maybe that's reassuring to some people. And I think right now with all this tension, I just think that it's just coming out in so many different ways. That's why it's causing chaos.
Yeah.
That's I mean, it's a a good thing in my opinion, but it's also it's a tough time where there's some people looting, which I
Yeah.
personally don't agree with. Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still there.
Yeah, okay. But everything else, like I'm fine with. Like we had, like had that, and we had something in Stamford, which was really nice to see people out, and then coming together for a common cause. And that's the beautiful thing about it, right? Just knowing there's other people and they feel the same way, and you guys are together, and you want just change, positive change.
Right. And I think that's the thing to take away from it. And unfortunately, these recent events like aren't new things for the Black community. So I think just with the stay at home and COVID, it's just bringing it to attention to more people who unfortunately may not have known about it or just were blind to it. So I just, moving forward, I hope people are just, staying educated on everything and still learning and still have the same attitude and mindset like months and years from now. Because it's great seeing everything now, but I want that same energy 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And then don't want to turn this into a political podcast or anything, but
no.
Yeah.
It's still, but for me, it's this is a big thing. Like I said, with the podcast, I try to make it as current as possible, especially I haven't been in terms of my plan for the original podcast. So I had listed out 30 episodes I wanted to do. Actually scraped it. I've been trying to keep up with current things. Like when the NBA season started, me and Greg try to keep up with things, and then he got busy, and then I'm trying to I'm not putting out as much, but this is current, it's not affecting one particular person. It's affecting us all.
Everybody. And I think it is a once in a lifetime moment. We have a once in 100-year pandemic, and then we have racial injustice being brought to light, and we're seeing protests and rallies across the states. I saw some graphic the other day where all 50 states had a protest or a march or a rally, which really hasn't happened before. Usually if something happens, it's kind of that community rallies around and there's something going on in that state or that city. But if something happens in Oakland, people in Connecticut usually aren't affected by it or had that type of reaction. But we're seeing all the states, we're seeing different countries get involved. So I just hope moving forward from this, we're just healthy overall, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So
everything. Yeah, that's my one thing that I'm just hoping for too. And obviously life's not, always pretty and not always sunshine and whatever, but it's 2020 has been a very exhausting year to date.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh man, it's been murder hornets. Kobe passed away, man. Rest in peace, Kobe. That's
yeah,
we're just halfway. Halfway.
Just hit June, right? I've seen memes to keep things light. Just don't be surprised when we see aliens or
coming down.
Just or we find that dinosaurs actually exist somewhere. Something crazy. But so it's So I mean, like I said, but how's the training business going outside of that?
I was about to ask you the same thing. Well, for me personally, it's stagnant. Like I just mentioned before, pretty much, at least out here in the Bay Area, everything's still shut down. The rims are either taken down or have a block inside the hoop so you can't shoot on them. You don't really see groups gathering or anything like that. So I started do some Zoom workouts and stuff, but I'm still honestly trying to tap into international markets and other relationships, because some other borders are starting to open back up. So hey, if things are still shut down here, maybe I can go to London for 2 weeks and do a camp out there, or maybe I can go back to Australia and do a camp out there, just to kind of keep things active and keep it going. Because we were mentioning before the podcast, there is that in-person part of our job that you almost need a little bit. So with the Zoom workouts, cool. I can tell you what to do. We can go through it. But if I need to show you where to put your right foot, or if I need to really show you how to bounce off body contact or something, I can't do it. And you also can't even do those drills really. So it's just a lot of basic stuff, which is fine. You do need the fundamentals, obviously. But yeah, no, you do need that in-person just feel at some point.
Connection. Yeah. No, I completely agree. Yeah. So, to your point, it's the same thing with me. It's been tough. What I've been doing is I took this time to kind of integrate and then innovate, integrate the online aspect to my business, but also do things that I basically didn't have time to do before. So like
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier, you had started doing a couple YouTube videos. I started a YouTube channel that I probably should have started a long time ago.
Way to go. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But like you can't say it's never too late. You just got to just do it and put it out there. And got the I really ramped up the podcast. I try to do video breakdowns of my favorite players, some of the kids' favorite players, both on WNBA side, NBA side. Try to integrate college in there.
I think that's the biggest thing, because like it is kind of like with any business or industry, it's a little bit of like a copycat thing, right? So if I start doing podcasts, if DJ Stacken starts doing podcasts, if Drew Hanlon starts doing podcasts, you almost are forced to do it just to keep up with your peers and competitors.
Right.
So I think it's that angle or that balance of going with the trend, but then how can you like switch it up a little bit or just have your own little twist to it? Because I always say at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing to a certain degree, right? Like there's only one way you can dribble a basketball or shoot a basketball, right? Like I'm going to teach you the same triple threat that you're going to teach a kid triple threat. There isn't like a different way to do it. So it really comes down to those relationships and like your own little spin on it that like makes it unique and special.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's so crucial to the training game. Like I think my strength in terms of training is my relationship building with the players. I come off as goofy sometimes, and if you ask a lot of my players, they tend to make fun of me. But that's like who I've been. Like I guess I've been that kind of guy to say stupid things or make myself look stupid so they have smart remarks to come back with.
But you're comfortable with that too, right?
Yeah,
that's like who you are.
Yeah, and it's who I am. But at the same time, they see how I move. They see how I teach. They've seen film of me playing. They're like, and they respect that, and they understand like, all right, he's a good guy, and I want to learn, and he can teach me stuff, and all of that. So that's like you said, it's just trying to figure out what makes you. Like,
yeah.
You want to maybe copy a little bit of what these guys are doing, but like in essence, it's got to be you, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So like for me right now, I'm like I said, I'm gonna probably post this to more than likely tomorrow.
Right.
I'm gonna announce tomorrow. Next week I'm doing free Zoom classes for a week for 3 days. And see how that goes. I want to give back, obviously, during this tough time, like 30-minute workouts, nothing crazy, but just to see if people would be interested and, go from there. If they want to do more, they can sign up for classes. But I think at this time, especially trying to develop us in up and coming and establish ourselves, there has got to be a little give and take. And I guess like when we obviously with the in-person stuff, when everything was normal, we were good, but now it's just, like I said, it's just, you got to find ways to pull people in and try to motivate and push kids basically.
Do you think, so question for you, do you think like is player development training like the end goal for you? Because I know you used to coach at like schools and on teams and stuff. Do you want to get back into that, or is this like your thing?
I eventually, somebody's asked me this too, not on a podcast, just in person. And for me, it's just, I haven't really thought of it too far. My answer has been, I want to do this as long as I can move. Okay. Meaning like, right now I'm in my current, physical stature. Oh. I am the best dribbler I've ever been in my life. Yep. Dude, like learning from DJ and all this stuff. If I had the skills I had now, back in high school, I would have been a Division I player. Somewhere. Yeah. Yep. That's hands down. I don't doubt that because I was motivated. I just didn't have the ball handling. I was a shooter. Boom. Yep. But, I'm not going to be able to move like this maybe at 40. So
right. That's funny you say that because I got the same like deadline too.
Yeah, like 40, around that plateau. Shout out to my college coach, Tyson Wheeler, who he's a once in a lifetime kind of player. But when I was at Fairfield U, he would, sometimes have to suit up just in case we didn't have enough players to
run up and down.
Because of injuries and stuff. And he was in phenomenal shape at 40 or 30, 38, 39, whatever he was, and still somehow making us look bad. So it's not always about how in shape you are, but the mental capacity. But so I mean, like I said, I want to push this as far as it can go. I want to get to the NBA level in terms of training, WNBA level. I want to be able to train both sides really at a high level, and obviously still develop kids to eventually get to that point. Now,
do you think because like I mentioned before, like training wasn't a thing even when I was in college, really. Like you had like maybe your coach took you for a workout and maybe there's like one or two guys. Do you think training's here to stay, or do you think at some point it'll like dip down again?
I think it's here to stay, but in terms of people trying to establish themselves as individual trainers, like trying to get big, kind of like a DJ Sackman, Tyler Ralph, Jordan Lawley, maybe Chris Johnson on the West Coast there. Who else?
Tim Martin's a good one.
Tim Martin. Michael Lancaster. Gannon Baker.
The OG.
The OG Baker. I mean, he's been around for a long time. And
for a minute,
He's made it a business, but he's also, if you look at his resume, he's been to so many different countries. Yeah. So if you were to make trainings here to stay, there's a lot of undeveloped not undeveloped, but like countries who are trying to get into basketball.
Yeah.
That may be willing to pay. Like China, like I said, I just experienced China last year. Yeah. One of the best experiences of my life.
You were out there for a month? 2 months?
2 months. 2 months.
2 months, yeah.
Yeah, so I was in Chengchun, and, they treated me like royalty. I felt like an NBA player.
Yeah. So it's a different world. People don't
realize, like, I'm not even playing. I wasn't playing. You were playing. They told me about wild ball, and I was interested, but I just couldn't. I couldn't risk the chance of getting hurt because I had to train.
Well, that's the other thing. Talking about that, like if you get hurt, you get hurt. Like there's no, you better figure it out. Yeah.
So, but that's what I'm saying. It's just like, reaching. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to go to like Italy. I would love to go to Spain. I would love to do camp in London, or or even for like I've been talking about it. Like I'd love to go to India because they're right now they're really trying to push it.
It's growing there.
Yeah, and they have the population. You got to have, just like China, you're gonna find some athletes. You're gonna find some size. You got to be able to cultivate it, which is what I trained. So when I was in China last year, one of the kids that I was working with I worked with 4 schools, and all 4. So middle school. Oh no, 4 teams. Sorry, middle school, JV, and both varsities teams, and for the top teams in the Chengchun, that province.
Yeah.
They were like, all 3 of them were like 14 years in a row champions. Like they did not lose. Losing was not
the thing.
Not okay. I've seen some. I want to talk about what I saw over there, but like there's some stuff I was like, damn, they don't play games. But where was I going with this? Oh, the one kid played for the NBA Academy China team.
Okay.
So they came to Atlanta back in, when was that? November? Whenever that was. Oh no, it was during summer. It was at the end of August. They went to Atlanta. They played at the Hawks facility. So it was like India, China, Australia.
I know what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. They had it was like a tournament and then all the college coaches came to watch them, NBA scouts, just to see the overseas talent. But while I was watching, I got to watch India versus China. China barely won, which was weird. But most of the Chinese, their younger players are training with the national team.
Right.
So they didn't have all their players, but the thing was, he made it there. So I was just proud of that. I was able to work with him. He's one of the top high school kids there right now, but he's going to go to college, I believe, next year. But the thing is, they're willing to pay, good trainers, good money if you can do something. And like I said, I would like to do that because there's talent there if you can cultivate it. They don't necessarily have the training or the right coaching. I'm not saying the coaches are bad, but they're not as experienced as some of the coaches in America, or some of the same minds.
Yeah. No, it's just different culture too. So even if they have like the athletes or whatever else, it's just, we just produce athletes in the States, and like it just everything from sports performance training to nutrition. It's just a different world. So actually this past December, I had an opportunity to do a camp in Mexico, which is like part of the Ball to Book stuff. And we also did a coaching clinic too. And it was just a lot of that stuff. Just like, how do you get athletes stronger? How do you get athletes quicker? How do you improve just like basic ball handling stuff? So things like we take for granted, or we just assume is like common knowledge, just isn't being taught other places. So no, you're exactly right. It's like finding those other like communities or opportunities where you can just like kind of grow and teach the game.
Yeah, but to answer your original question, it depends on who's doing the training. But I think what I see ending up happening in the future for maybe not so higher ups are going to be the people who have money that to invest in like a big facility or training corporation, or like you guys ProSkills, someone like that, where they run the overhead stuff and they bring the top trainers to them, take care of them, and then boom, now you train, I'll just throw out like Steph, you train Steph.
Yeah.
You have you as your brand, but you're also representing their brand, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's where it would go. And then NBA teams, obviously they trust their player development personnel. That may be a goal too. Maybe I get to NBA, WNBA level. Who knows? But all I know right now, I definitely, I love my brand. I love the purpose behind it. I love how I started it. It's just been a phrase I've been saying from high school, literally from like 2007,
way back
2020. Yeah. So it's something I take pride in, and that's why, like I said, like our life experiences has kind of like brought us to this point, and we want to share and let everybody else know,
Yeah, for sure, man.
But yeah, so all right, last thing. I know, like this is a really lengthy one, so whoever listens to this, thank you for
sitting through.
Yeah, for listening through. I this is actually one of my favorite podcasts, just because I learned a lot listening to you, and just listening to your stories that have been really intriguing to me.
I want to say one thing before you get to your thing. I'm jealous of your jerseys in your room. I'm getting my Chinese jerseys like framed to put up in my apartment and stuff. But that's something I just always wanted. It was just a little like man cave moment.
That was actually I literally just did that when I came back from China. The kid I told you that played on the Chinese, he was on the national team for the youth. He gave me his jersey. I gave him one of my shirts. Kind of, we did like a little swap, and then I had my college jersey up, and then my pro team jersey.
Okay.
So, and then I have Kobe. You guys didn't see it, but I have Kobe hung up on the side there too. So important jerseys for me in my life. I wish I had my high school jersey, but I don't have that one. That was the one I was missing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, I want to just ask a couple of random questions, and then you fire off. All right?
Word. Yep.
Okay, ready? Favorite movie? Go-to movie?
Oh, basketball related or just
any movie you want?
He Got Game.
He Got Game.
Jesus Shuttlesworth, man. Oh,
can't go wrong with Jesus.
Can't beat that.
So I love that. It was actually on. It was on what, HBO the other week. I was watching it.
Okay.
But, all right. Toughest player you ever had to guard?
I was actually thinking. I figured this is gonna be a question today, so I got two answers for you.
Okay.
One was I got to play against Jeremy Lin when I was in Beijing.
Oh wow.
So NBA player. It was just tough day. But then actually AAU, I think it was going like this summer of my junior going into my senior year. It was at the Albany City Rock or Albany, whatever the tournament is up there. I played against Jimmer Fredette like 3 or 4 times that summer, but he wasn't the best player on that team. Taylor Battle was a monster. He ended up playing at Penn State, and then I think he played in France for a long time. But he was like maybe 6'2", but just dunking on dudes. Range was crazy. Like I was like, oh, like it was those moments of like, okay, that's a pro. Even though we're like 16 years old,
you know who's about that life and who's special. You see it. It's crazy. What was my other question? Oh yeah. Most fun training session you've ever done, or one of the most memorable ones.
Most fun. I think most fun, I would just have to say, is just a general, whenever you see somebody improve. So whether it's a person that's never picked up a ball before, and then a year from now they're shooting 3-pointers, or you're training a high-level player and they up their average from like 13 points a game to 16 points a game, and they like accredit you for that boost. Like, hey man, like the work we did this summer got me those 3 extra points, which got me 10 extra minutes a game, which got me more money. And so those in general. Most memorable, I would just have to say just in Australia when I was running like the group pro workouts. So it'd be like 5 or 6 guys that were playing pro down there. That was definitely just something I'm probably never going to forget.
All right. I have to ask this because I would understand because I was in China. And you can share what was the craziest thing you ate in China? What was the craziest? I need to I want to know because I ate some wild stuff. I've tried a lot.
I want to hear yours after I got mine.
Okay.
So I got a few.
That's what I was saying. A couple of things.
Because it's either it comes down to like either someone tells you before and you try it, or someone tells you after you already ate it, and they're like, "Yo, you just ate so and so."
Yeah.
The first, it was I'm assuming you did hot pot a few times out there.
Yes, I did hot pot. Yep.
Yeah. So like either my first or second time doing hot pot, I had cow intestines.
Ooh.
And like, but I knew before I was eating it.
Okay, so not bad.
So you know the hot pot, for people who don't know, basically you boil like thinly sliced meat and like boiling water, and it cooks it really quick. And it's usually just like beef or lamb and maybe chicken, depending on where you go. And they got fish too. So like they're spinning the table around, and there's this like gray meat. It's gray. I'm like, what the hell is that? And they're like, oh, that's cow intestines. I'm like, what? And so I was like, all right, man, why not try it? So but I like doused it in like the sauce and like as much as I possibly could, and it was like really chewy and had like a different taste to it. I don't know the part China. I'm assuming they had the same, but just like the street vendors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had everyone. Yeah, where I was.
Yeah. So this I found out afterwards, and actually they had the restaurants that served it too. But donkey meat.
I heard it's good.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but
I didn't have it. But
same thing. It was one of those things I found out after I ate it. So it's like it's a later night. We had just gone out, had a good time, and so we're on our way home. We got a little hungry, so stop, pick up it's like a wrap, and cool, order it, scarf it down. I'm like, man, that was good. What was that? Oh man, that was donkey meat. I was like, damn, you could have told me before I ate it. But yeah, those are definitely 2 memorable ones.
I
What about you?
oh God, you're gonna I think it was cicada, like a bug.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tried a bug. It was, I mean, it wasn't live. It was dead.
Like a cockroach?
Oh, it was kind of, yeah. So you had to crack it
Okay.
open, and then you had
Oh, I
whatever.
was doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the guy told me, he goes, I was like, what is this good? He was like, he had his translator, like it was like my Chinese boss, and he was like,
Yeah.
this has the protein of 3 eggs, just with
Oh
this one
wow.
little
See,
thing. I
nah.
was like, wow.
He was
So I
lying to
tried
you.
it. It wasn't terrible. My favorite thing to eat out there was definitely Chinese barbecue. I love Chinese.
Oh, delicious. Yeah.
Chinese barbecue is something like
so good.
um.
So good.
But the other thing I did try, sorry,
go ahead.
was pigeon. I had pigeon.
Oh, you're a wild boy.
Yeah,
I
they
don't know how to do the pigeon.
I was like, what is this pigeon? I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it to see what it's like. And just I took a little piece of it. I didn't like it, so I just.
There was a street, like an alley in Beijing that had like all the like bugs, like tarantulas, cockroaches, scorpions, snakes, baby chickens, like all on like sticks, like skewers. So you just, order it, boom, eat it.
Oh yeah.
I never ate any of that stuff, but I picked some things up for some photo ops just to send back home.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I did that. I just didn't. I did
pigeon though, man. That's, whew.
Yeah, people don't. You have to have a strong stomach too, man. Like it's not easy, but it was like I said, it was just a great experience.
Yeah.
What was the last? I had one last question, and it slipped my mind because I went to. Oh right. What are your hobbies outside of basketball?
Oh, right now I'm discovering a bunch because ain't nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Me and my girl bought some bikes about like a month ago, so I've been bike riding a lot. My girlfriend's Japanese, so I've been studying Japanese just to learn more of the language, and then just reading. We've been in quarantine like 3 months now, maybe a little less. Been reading a bunch of books, got a few more I've ordered, and that's it. And then, I feel like no one does this anymore, but I just like listening to music, just like putting on an album, listen front to back, just chill, just relax a little bit. So
I actually like that. That I haven't done that in God knows how long. The last album I probably did that to was probably Drake, Take Care, back in college. But
okay.
Okay. Yeah, that was a while back. That was what 2011, 2011. Yeah, so
not non-related. What's your opinion on the latest Drake album?
I got asked this. Somebody asked me this the other day. I love Drake, period. That's big bro. I can vibe to his stuff. Yes, it wasn't his greatest material, but like he's allowed to do that. People expect
he's at that point. I agree with that.
Yeah, people expect him to drop greatest hits every time he puts something out. But that's kind of like the standard he set for himself. But at the same time, I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
I'm just not mad at it.
Yeah. I think with that, like the last joint definitely has some hits, but like his first couple of albums were just like front to back. You just press play, let it rock. Yeah. The last couple ones, you're kind of like searching for the song you want to hear.
Yeah, he's I mean, he says he's excited about this next album he's about to drop. I hope he says it's probably one of his best. I think that's what he said. Don't quote me. Yeah. But I hope it's it's a good one. But all right, Andrew, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you for taking the time. I
appreciate you, man. Yeah, this definitely it's almost 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking, dude. But like that's, I mean, it's fun. It's nice. Like for me, like it's the way to not necessarily kill time, but I'm connecting. Like it's nice to be able to connect with somebody, and especially we haven't really seen and talked to each other in a long time.
In a minute, yeah.
Yeah, and
definitely good catching up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. We had to do that, and just being in the same field and just trying to like learn and grow. Like obviously we got to stay connected and try to collaborate. If you got something out there, obviously I'd love to, I'd come out, and then if I got anything over here, I'll let you know.
Appreciate that, man, for sure.
And,
We definitely got to do something. I always wanted to do something back in Stamford. So we'll definitely link up and talk about that.
Yeah, we need to, there's just so much separation right now. And I think it's just like, because we're in a business part, it's just like, it's all business out here, and they're not about the kids as much. And I'm trying to, hopefully they'll get back to that, because of all this stuff. So make them realize what really matters. But yeah, so like I said, thank you again, guys. Really quickly, I'm gonna mention this. I'm gonna do an intro on the podcast. If you guys need a plant-based protein, I got Orgain. If you enter the code NDO Training Steve, you'll get 30% off your first order. And then, tune in for more. I'm going to be actually on my next episode, I'm going to have a parent of a kid I train interview me, because he's been really asking me to do that. So I'm going to do that, just like I give it a different dynamic. And like I said, I want people engaged. So this is the best way I can do it and keep people connected. And so I'm just doing what I can. But tune in for the next episode. And, Drew, once again, thank you. And, stay safe. Keep grinding, you guys. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.